Hey, welcome. I got a question. Why at GitLab we have a page with a comparison and DevOps tools landscape? Maybe first I'll show you the two pages. And I'll start with the DevOps tools landscape. So the DevOps tools landscape shows you what the typical tools are for certain actions in the DevSecOps lifecycle. What do people typically use to plan, create, verify, package, secure, release, configure, monitor, and govern? And this is not an exact science, but we try to sort it by what is a common tool to do things. And what is like, maybe not even common, but what's a best in class tool to do things? What's the most inspirational tool out there right now? And we think it helps people understand what GitLab does, because the number one thing that we run into is that people say, okay, what is a DevSecOps platform? What does it do? If you say, well, you can replace Jira and GitHub and Jenkins and JFrog and Sneak and Harness and Argo and Datadog and Synopsys with a single tool, with a single platform, that tends to resonate. Okay, I get that. Then the second question is it any good? So that's what this tool is for. It's our DevOps maturity comparison chart. And it talks about each of the categories, each of the stages we're in. And it says, how good are we as the leading DevSecOps platform? How good is the runner-up DevSecOps platform? The runner-up is GitHub. They are more mature in Create, but for example, they don't have a monitor offering. And it allows you to zoom in on each part of this, like each part of the specific comparison. And the idea is to not only be able to communicate to our customers, like, and our potential customers and our users, like, hey, this is how far we are, but also link it to what we want to improve, link it to our direction page, like, hey, this is what we're going to improve, and this is the speed you can expect from us going forward. We're the most transparent public company in the world, in my opinion, and we want to be very transparent on where we're at, where we're going, not only to set expectations correctly with our customers, but also to kind of hold ourselves accountable for closing the gap as fast as we can, and make sure that GitLab is great in many of these stages, and that people are able to replace tools. According to a Forrester study, people are able to replace 3 tools a year in year 1, 2, and 3 with GitLab. That is amazing. They see a more than 400% return with GitLab Ultimate. That is amazing. So even though we're not the single best option, like Datadog has better monitoring than GitLab today. We're not the best point solution, but just the benefit of having it integrated is already worth a lot. And I think we should do both. We should both be the best overall solution, but also become the best aspire to become the best in every single category. And so these 2 pages exist to explain what GitLab is, to explain what our level of maturity is and where we're going. And they exist not only to communicate that externally, but also to inspire us internally, and to link where we're going with our plans, our direction pages, and all the way down to the individual plans. Any questions?
I have a question.
Go
ahead, Dave.
You start, I'll chime in after.
You got it. Okay, so Sid, my question is, I would imagine that these 2 pages would be kind of used in conjunction, right? So when I think about plan, on the actual landscape page, I'm assuming that should also translate to the maturity page. Is that correct? Like they should be
I think it's a great idea to interlink them, where we say, hey, on plan, I can also quickly go to this part where we talk about the maturity. And from the maturity, I can also see like the competition.
Fine.
Right now, we're still working to get these pages up to snuff. Like there's still some work to be done. And right now, I'm very excited about linking, for example, this maturity to our direction pages, and not just linking the pages, but making sure our direction page actually is very spiffy about, okay, well, this is where we're at today, but this is where we're going.
And that they are consistent, right? So for instance, on the tools landscape, we don't have GitHub, but on the maturity we do under plan. So just making sure that all of that is synced up and makes sense.
Yeah, I think we don't have, I think this is consistent. What we present here are like the top 6 solution people think of planning things. And although GitHub offers planning functionality, I think there's a lot they don't offer. And we talk about that here, like we give them a pretty low rating. And if we zoom in, that's because they don't have design management, they don't have service desk, they don't have quality management, they don't have requirement management. We think their portfolio management and team planning is pretty weak. So the reason we have them here is because they're the number 2 DevSecOps platform. The reason we don't have them here is because we think their planning is not even in the top 6 of point solutions.
Love it.
But we should do a better job explaining that. So I think it's correct, but we don't even say what the content here is. So we got some improvements to make. And that's what I want to work on with this group.
Yeah.
Dave.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll pick up the note to work with the digital experience team on that part of the DevOps tools page. Like we don't explain that this is actually a stack rank in terms of abilities and sort of capabilities. So I think that's on their roadmap and something that we should work on. So 2 questions, and I think you kind of already answered the first one, which is given the purpose of these 2 pages, any thoughts on sort of inner consolidating them? And I think your answer about creating an interlinkage between them is sort of the right approach. So we can definitely move forward with that, and I think that will help out a lot. Actually, let me pause there. Did I understand that right before I ask my second question?
Yeah, no, I think you got that right.
Okay, cool. So the question that I have in J is the feedback that we're getting from sales is that these pages can hurt our ability to accelerate pipeline and close deals. And so I'm conflicted here, because on one hand, we should always lean into transparency, and we should, and I believe in the power of these pages as a thing to be transparent externally, but also inspirational internally, as you put it. But on the other hand, there is, I think, a need to create a more go-to-market friendly resource that can be seen on the site. Any thoughts about doing that if we consolidate these pages and creating a more go-to-market friendly? Any thoughts on our ability to do that, Sid?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things here. First of all, this is very uncommon for a company to do. Second of all, what I don't want is to have an internal page and an external page. Like that's not how we roll. We're a transparent company. When we can share something external, we should. Third of all, I bet there's ways to make them more go-to-market friendly and give more context, maybe work on some of the messaging, everything else. So let's do that. Fourth, I bet that some of the problems they run into is just that our capabilities aren't great. The way to fix that is not by not having that on a page, but the way to fix that is to increase the capabilities of what we offer. Fifth, I'm not sure it should be part of our sales process yet, because nobody else does that, and it's super risky to make changes to your sales process. So right now, we're not linking these pages from any part of our website. That's 2 reasons. First of all, there's a lot of work to do to get them up to snuff. Second of all, we might never promote them heavily. We'll see. I think first we get them up to snuff, and then we'll make a decision whether we use them or not. And I think that if we talk to go to market, there's going to be different reasons. First of all, customers are a bit puzzled because they never heard something like this. And when they hear something like this, other companies tend to exaggerate, and we tend to do that less. So it's hurting us because our claims are discounted. Like we think we have a reasonable claim, but people say, okay, well, probably overclaim, so I'm going to compensate for that. That could be a problem. Could be a problem that our functionality just isn't good enough. Well, in that case, we need to fix that. Could be a problem we don't give enough context on the page. So then we fix that. So there's going to be different reasons. I think it's worth a shot trying to get these pages up to snuff and try to address it. And sometimes our transparency has pros and cons. And many times we find that the pros are bigger than the cons. Our number one value is results. So if these pages don't help and are a net negative, we'll remove them. We'll no longer have them on our website. But I'd like to get them up to snuff and see whether the pros outweigh the cons. And there'll be cons for sure.
Got it. Thank you for that and the comprehensiveness of the answer. Well, I'm going to plan